again, this is a restaurant that opened up in Canada. If you look at the picture, you might think that I accidentally uploaded it wrong, but if you look at the text on the side and the people and the spaces around it, you'll see that it's actually just the activation itself is smashing the space. And they smashed everything. In this video from Fred BK, he shows that there is pint glasses. You can see the inside, they have completely smashed it. So you can see even on the side of the little banners of advertisements, they're also smashed. You see the condiment dispensers and the napkins all smashed. The receipts and even the payment section all smashed. This is a really great example of taking an idea and just going all the way the farthest degree that you can bring it. I love stuff like this. I love anything that has kitsch or a theme or an idea. You can sell me on a lot just by making something very funny. A smash burger isn't that exciting in itself, but when you advertise it with different things that I say, oh, you're going to have fun with it, that goes a lot farther. I really like that they weren't precious about having the logo smashed itself. I know a lot of brands can get really up in arms over brand consistency. While that's important, I think that it's also important to be able to not take yourself so seriously and also to make changes when they make sense. So this is a bold move from A&W, but no one's looking at this A&W logo and thinking that this is just what it's supposed to look like. It looks like it was intentional. It looks like the brand team did a really good job at taking the idea and going all the way through. I just wish that we had this kind of whimsy everywhere. Next up, I want to talk about Olipop. Olipop is getting a new design. They have very clear iconography with a sticker icon front and center. Brand Inquirer, one of my favorite Instagrams, says the redesign introduces brighter, more vibrant colors for stronger shelf clarity, along with refined hand-drawn illustrations inspired by late 60s to 70s design. You can see here things like classic grape feel pretty similar, but then when you look at things like the cream soda and the classic root beer and you have that reliance on the white and the foam, it really starts to pack a punch when they are using different colors. Also, if you squint, if you turn around, you look from far away, you see cream soda and classic root beer and strawberry vanilla, all technically different hues for the actual can color. Like, think there's even a subtle change between these two. Could not tell from a distance. When you're looking at the new ones, you can tell an absolute difference immediately. You can see that each one is all defined by the colors that they have. I think that it's really successful in clarity. I think they cleaned up the front a lot. You can see they even took off some stuff like the fluid ounce. They moved it off to the side down here because that's not as important. They took your attention and what you want to look at and what you want to read. It's not like that soap bottle that is covered in the description and you sit in the shower and you read it. This is supposed to be like, look it, you get it. If you want to find out more information, then interact with the can. You don't need to be able to read everything all at once. Bob's Red Mill got rid of Bob. Well, they didn't get rid of him entirely. They actually, this is the old packaging on the left and this is the new packaging on the right. You can see down here that they have then transformed him into this nice little stamp, which I think is also interesting whenever you put the logo at the top of a product like this for flour, because if you think about how you're interacting with the bag, you're going to be rolling it down to then not have Bob's Red Mill be visible anymore because you have now folded it. Granted, you have bought the product, it is in your home, you're not necessarily needing to be reminded that it's Bob's Red Mill, but as much real estate and brand recognition that these brands want, I'm always surprised that they don't move the logo towards the bottom as you empty the bag so that then it continues to still be visible. This is a clarity update. I think you can very clearly see Bob's Red Mill. It is much easier to read than the old logo, and the focus is on Bob's Red Mill rather than the unbleached white all-purpose organic flour. I'm going to start a poll in the chat because I have come across something that I have not seen in the analysis that I have read of this logo. I want to know if the new look looks like Betty Crocker to you. When I saw it originally I was like, wait, is Bob's Red Mill and Betty Crocker the same company? Is it two of the same and they're trying to merge them to make them closer or not? Now, their packaging doesn't have this gigantic top side, but if you look at their just logo up in the top here, you have the Betty Crocker, which is this white cursive on red. If you take that and you're comparing it to Bob's Red Mill, it even starts with a B, right? Now, granted, it's a different curl. It doesn't have the curl of the same thing, but as far as a quick glance, it looks like the same brand to me. I was surprised to see them do that because they often are on the shelf close to each other, but I wanted to hear what you guys thought. And for the poll results, 78% of you say yes, and 22% of you say no. It's cool that this is the mill shape. I don't have complaints itself about the packaging. The packaging is nice. Just the strategy behind it might be misguided in a way that I think it looks too close to competitors, and I don't know how I feel about getting rid of Bob. But actually, I'm not sure. First, I want to talk about is an AI story, not promoting it, just reporting on it, guys. Spotify will soon let you create AI-generated personal podcasts. It's also adding an AI feature that lets you ask questions about a currently playing podcast. This is coming from Jabin Joseph at PC Mag. You can see here in the screenshot that it lets you generate a new podcast based off of a text prompt. It gives you the ability to upload a PDF and also focus off of things that are happening in the real world and based off of your listening habits. You can set up different intervals of when you want it to generate. So if you want something to generate each week, you can say, I want a weekly brief on this thing. Right now, as of the reporting in PC Mag, they're saying that they believe that it only can work with one voice. I guess that's similar to the Spotify's AI DJ. Now, how does this impact creators? On the scale of existential threat to not a big deal, I think the headline reads a lot like existential threat, but I think that one of the main selling points of a podcast isn't for necessarily the information. Sure, I do have information that I really like, and I give you guys information each week on this show, but I don't think that you're necessarily tuning in specifically just for the information. If that was the case, I think that you would be getting your news elsewhere. I think a lot of it has to deal with personalities, and I think that a lot of people are tuning in for the not only just the cadence, but the humor, the universal cultural moment. I think that having AI generated podcasts isn't going to replace that. I think it's going to exist in its own avenue. I think also you run into the issue of the same reason you have an accountant so that you can say if things go south, it was the accountant's fault. It was not me. You are the professional. If someone is presenting false news and false information, that is on the podcast. Whereas when it's AI, it can maybe hallucinate. It can maybe spread misinformation or information that is coming from a different source where it doesn't necessarily present it. Other Spotify updates that are not AI related, this is a update to memberships. They're introducing memberships, which is a way for creators to build recurring revenue directly from their most engaged fans. That means that when you go into the app, you're actually able to subscribe and get exclusive benefits for members. I didn't see too much else beyond maybe bonus episodes or early access to episodes offered in these exclusive packages, but I'm imagining they're going to announce more as we get closer. YouTube is starting to test a top fans distribution option limited to the uppermost 1% of viewers. This is coming from Sam Goodell at Tube Filter, meaning that if someone is one of the top 1% who watched and listened to your content, they will be able to watch and comment on this video. Other users will be unable to view it even if they have a link. Very interesting. It is something that can drive more viewership for the benefit of both YouTube and for creators. It is a way to be able to reward people who are your most dedicated following. Obviously, there is a criticism that could say you're creating digital scarcity when there doesn't necessarily need to be. But I think in this way, you don't want to necessarily do it as something that is gatekeeping information as much as maybe you want to create content that is a thank you for people who show up day after day, and you want to be able to give back and be able to like, okay, for the people that are putting in the extra effort for me, I want to put in the extra effort for them. I think that's going to end up relying on the creators themselves. They're going to need to be able to approach that in a good way. I think you could maliciously approach this and you could make it so you have some sort of secret or some sort of private content that you're like, you're not going to be able to get to it unless you watch all my videos, which that can be crappy. But then at the same time, do you want to watch that creator that's making you do that? So I think it is a back and forth relationship, and I think it could work for a benefit and it could be good. It all depends on the creator themselves. This is a new After Effects update in beta, which is long overdue. This happened last week. It is color labels for effects. It says if you've been on a recent After Effects beta build, you might have noticed that the effect control panel getting a little tidier. Things like GPU acceleration and camera aware have moved to the right side of the effect header, and reset is a proper button instead of plain text. But they're excited because this was all in preparation for being able to assign color labels to individual effects instances on layers. So sometimes when you're creating a gigantic effect wall on a certain layer, it can get really messy and you can lose the things. You can be like, okay, this is all here. And the properties panel helped kind of alleviate a little bit of that, but it's still a scrolling mess here. Some of the instances that they really highlighted is if there's a single effect in the middle of a stack that you really want to find or point out to a teammate, if you want to show which version of an effect you have signed off on or off, like you can see here that the cell pattern clean is approved, but maybe the red one that was the old messy version is not, so they're labeling it as red, but they want to make it non-destructive, so they still keep it there. We have an Instagram update. This is one that's gonna make you guys mad again. This is meta testing Instagram Plus, which allows user to view stories anonymously and extend them to 48 hours. This is something that's been announced. It's something that's finally rolling out to Mexico, Japan, and the Philippines. It says the subscription allows users to create unlimited audience lists for stories and super like posts, and it is also being trialed where it is separate from Meta Verified for businesses and influencers. It lets you also view stories anonymously, so people can't see when you're viewing it, kind of in the same way that like you can pay on LinkedIn to view profiles and not be able to see it. Interesting to see. I probably won't be buying it, but will you guys be buying it? This story is coming from Jessica Davies at Digiday, and it's about The Economist and their approach to a new way of distributing the internet by having two different funnels of their production. And I think this is going to affect creators a lot in the way that this might be a way that you might have to start thinking about creating content and how people are also getting to your content. Before, there were things like search engine optimization, where you would put lots of words and keywords triggers to then have the scraping Google search engine go through and pull out the parts of your content to then direct people to view to your webpage. Now the internet is changing in many different ways. There are things like publishers that are now blocking any sort of scraping from anyone, which causes its own problems. I definitely understand the idea of not wanting to be scraped for AI, but then I know there are nonprofits like the Wayback Machine, which is a wonderful resource to be able to have history of internet and web pages and design and content that they're getting locked out of a lot because there are all these walls going up because there were a bunch of these companies that were scraping AI content without then giving back to these publications and these communities. It is gonna change whether you're proponent or not proponent, and I'm not saying that we embrace the systems, but if you don't want to take a hit to your traffic, this is the Economist's solution to be able to say, okay, we're going to have one that is rich and is rewarding and it gives the human experience and has all of the great stuff that we love about publications, and that is going to be behind a wall. It's going to be locked up. It's going to be, you pay for it, you can't train off of it, et cetera, et cetera. Then they're going to have this other funnel that is going to have basically content that is created for AI agents to be able to read and link back to. And the way that this is beneficial to the Economist is that then if someone is searching for something and they are already doing their thing where they are gutting the internet and they're putting it back up in a news spread for you, this is going to be a way that then it can then link back and say, go to The Economist. Then you go to The Economist and then you go to it and then you pay for a subscription for The Economist to then get the human content. I think that this is a smart approach to a problem that is bigger than The Economist itself. Any power that you had through being discovered through search engine is going to disappear unless you come up with creative solutions like this. This is for the free After Effects sparkly water preset, and you can see that it allows you to create this vintage retro. You can see that they take a nice little version of water and then they take it and they scrub it over and create nice sparkly effect. I found out about this one through Motion Mondays, which we'll be highlighting in just a second, but you can see that they add it to coffee, they add it to water, and it's a nice effect. You can also use it to shadows to then be able to apply it to different stuff. Since 1962, D&AD pencils have defined careers, opened doors, and earned winners global recognition. It says their awards uncover and celebrate truly exceptional work that redefines what's possible in the creative industries. They are deliberately tough to win, but easy to enter with step-by-step support from their team. They have their 2026 winners announced, a record of 89 nations represented among this year's entries. So there's a lot of really great content to go through. It's all publicly and free, and I highly recommend it to be really inspired and also see what's going on. This is a really cool zine that was made by Bottle-Born Pins, where she is being mesmerized by the carpets in Las Vegas. She has a book that's a nice little casino carpet collection. So it includes 44 pages, 2 interviews with real-life carpet designers, and 2 custom poems made for this issue with 30 plus full bleed images of stunning carpet. And this is from Bottle-Born Pins. And then the last spotlight that I have for you guys is this nice short. This is 2 statues finally given to Seismic Desire. in Yearn, and this is from Jamie Lang's reporting from Cartoon Brew. It is Yearn from director Ben Smith. It was actually shopped around in a bunch of different festivals, as you can see down here, and won a bunch of things like official selection at the Animation Dingle. It took 2 years to make and works entirely on the movement and destruction of these two side-by-side statues in a museum that then kind of are yearning for each other over the years, and then finally an earthquake happens. It says the film relies entirely on simulated movement, camera language, and sound design, and it is incredibly beautiful. It has a original score by Anthony Ferraro, sound design and mix by Bijan Sharifi, and color and post-production and supervision by Ricardo Kovacs, but directed and animated by Ben Smith. It's just a fun, like, 4-minute thing. Just take a break, watch it on the toilet, I don't know, or just, take a second at the end of when a meeting ends and they say, I'll give you 4 minutes back. You should check this out. It's free online. It's on Vimeo. It was screened at 20 plus film festivals, including 5 Oscar qualifying festivals, and it is a really nice short, and it's entirely free. But that's all I have for you guys for this week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will talk to y'all real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.